Hello, good evening. My screen name is Covert Muffin, and we are going to be showcasing off Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition Randomizer, and I am joined by none other than Aiko. What's up, man?
Not much. I'm super excited for you to get into this randomizer run. Ori and the Blind Forest is a Metroidvania game, and it has, like many Metroidvania games do, a bunch of skills and items and other stuff in their normal locations. We have randomized them. It's going to be great.
Yeah, so basically you can think of sort of progression as if you end up finding a skill, that skill will end up getting you access to another part of the map, and that will allow you to progress. So things are just all shuffled around. You could pick up an EXP pickup, and then it'll just be charge jump or something else. But we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen on the seed, but it has been vetted to make sure that we can finish under estimate. But are you ready on time, Hecky?
I am indeed.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so right out of the gate, we start with nothing. We have 3 health, no energy, no skills whatsoever. So for this, as a speedrun itself, Ori is not too interesting if the only objective is to start and finish the final escape, which is just the normal end period. So for the randomizer itself, we have the constraint that we must visit all 11 skill locations and activate them, regardless of whether or not they'll end up actually getting me a skill or not. So in order to do that, I'm going to need a certain list of skills and stuff like that, but because we're speedrunners, we'll end up finding very creative ways to be able to get there. But Aiko, do you want to talk about some of the differences with the modded version, like the dialogue and stuff like that? And
Yeah, so in the randomizer, we've changed a fair bit. Just a lot of minor things. No dialogue ever plays. In the base game, you actually have to toggle your UI on and off to avoid dialogue. There would be some here at this cutscene we're seeing, but instead we're just going to pick it up, and the dialogue just gets automatically skipped by the randomizer.
Yeah.
We're about to see a second difference here from Muffin, because in order to prevent soft locks where you enter an area and you can't leave, you can at any time press a key binding and it warps you back to the area you spawned at. And Muffin's going to use that. Just use that to basically leave that area instead of fighting some enemies and then getting told to go somewhere where we're probably not going to go for a while because we're going to ignore most of the story while going through the randomizer.
Yeah, exactly. And so Alt-R just as a safety mechanic, but then also as a speedrun mechanic is really nice. So far for pickups, I have 2 keystones, which is going to open up this left portion of the starting area, which is known as Glades, opening this key door here. So this is my first bit of what we call progression. Next, I'm going to actually use Alt-R in order to be able to actually, I'm going to save that there for later, be able to check one more pickup, which ended up being something known as a Mega Energy. And that's a bonus pickup that was added in for Randomizer specifically, and it's just basically temporary battery of energy. And that is actually really nice because it's going to get me access to another portion of the map if I find the required skills to make use of it.
Yeah, the game has a bunch of 4 energy doors, including one that's very near the spawn location, but because Muffin can't access it right now, he can't get a ton of value out of that Mega Energy. So by saving, or by reloading without saving, he leaves it there, and he'll be able to use it later at a time when he can get to an energy door.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so there's a mapstone pedestal. If I end up finding a mapstone to turn into that, that is also another pickup location. So there are other sort of special spots and what have you to allow me to get around the map, but mapstone turn-ins are also nice because they're sort of sequential in what pickup they end up getting you. Oh, I need to pull this here. Okay, so here's our first skill, which is going to be Grenade. And Grenade is very, very nice as an early pickup. And it's a little bit different than in the normal game. In the normal game, each grenade throw ends up costing me half an energy. However, here in the randomizer, they were made free because they're also useful for as a movement based technique if I find another skill to complement it, which would be Bash.
Yep.
But here we go. Here's a skill tree, and you'll notice that it marks it off as 1 of 10. And so there are 9 of these trees around the map, and then 1 feather location. However, that being said, right now, I still don't have any way to jump really high or interact with walls or interact with enemies besides just brutally slaughtering them to try and save the forest.
Yeah.
And so we're either looking for another skill or maybe a tractor to help us with transportation around.
Yep. And not quite a tractor, but the other thing that Muffin has available to him is a teleporter, which he can use to get over to further right in the map. But we'll see what he... nice. Okay,
Yeah.
so Muffin now found a map stone, which he can use at that map pedestal we walked by earlier to get another item. And if that isn't what we're looking for, then he's going to have to take a teleporting trip over to Swamp.
Yeah, so I accidentally alt-R'd there preemptively, and my last save location is very far away. It was just back at the skill tree, so unfortunately I do have to like backtrack across, which is like a 15 to 20 second time loss, but that's okay. It's not the biggest of deals. It's gonna be very careful.
I made a tiny mistake, so I need to move you to another voice channel real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
There you go. You're right now. Sorry about that.
Thanks. Yeah, no problem. So now we found nothing from that first map pedestal. So the only pickups that are still in logic right now are going to be using this teleporter, which is going over to Swamp.
Yep. The Swamp area is over to the right. It's basically Swamp has two parts. There's like this outer Swamp area, which is where Muffin is going to, that you access pretty early on in the game, and then there's this inner Swamp that is where one of the skill trees are, so we'll be going there later. But for now, Muffin's just gonna go to the teleporter, push this boulder out of the way, avoid these spiky purple things, and he's gonna head over here and check a few different pickups, including some plants. You'll see these big blue bulbs. You can only break those with a skill like Grenade, so it's good that he found it. But first, we're gonna get screamed at by a bird, because
Lore.
that's what happens when you play random. Yep. Bird is angry.
Hashtag team story time. Okay, so over here I'm going to destroy my first plant, which is my next skill, which is double jump, which is probably one of the best skills that I could actually end up finding in the randomizer itself. And the reason for that is it gives me some way of actually being able to interact with walls. So if I actually end up touching a wall, I can actually reset double jump, just like that. And that allows me to climb a little bit faster. Of course, that didn't end up being faster because it took me a few tries, but still very, very nice skill to find.
Yeah, the mechanic where when you touch a wall and then move away from it, it refreshes your double jump, lets you, if you get the inputs right, basically fake the wall jump skill, which we will maybe be seeing, maybe not, but because Muffin has double jump, it's not as big a deal as long as he doesn't mind the additional wear and tear on the hands that double jump wall climbing can incur.
Yeah, and so here we go. I just found my first bit of wall interaction, which is actually a skill you'll find really late in your casual playthrough, which is climb. And this allows me to hold on to walls. It's not wall jump, where in your casual playthrough, wall jump is like the first skill that you find in order to progress through. However, it does allow me to not have to worry about double jump jumping anymore, and I am going to be doing a little bit of a weird thing and heading directly into Grotto.
Yeah, this is a little bit of an interesting route in terms of where it gets you, but it does make a lot of sense. Muffin's going to be able to get access to the teleporter as soon as he touches it. He will have unlocked this teleporter for further use, and then he can head further down. And what he's going to actually do here is open up a save anywhere, which is a sort of menu storage trick. You see he's moving in the background and retains control of Ori. This is a really nice trick. You can use it for cutscene skips and partial cutscene skips, like Muffin just did right there. You save once the cutscene starts, and then quit. The cutscene's already started, and he regained control of Ori and doesn't have to drop all the way down. It's a nice time save.
Yeah, it is very, very nice. And so, like, with that, with double jump, I am able to also backtrack over to the section and find a quote-unquote major event in the run itself, which is Warmth Returned. The other events, Clean Water, turn poison water into clean water. Wind Restored, add wind currents just around the map that you can use with Glide. Warmth Returned does absolutely nothing. Actually, no, that's not true. It makes some of the visuals a little bit.
Yeah, the beautiful background in that main valley room. We'll be sure to call that out as we get there. But yeah, mechanically it does absolutely nothing.
Oh, actually...
do you have time for a donation quickly?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
$5 from Tajiki. It says, "You're Muffin. Really glad you can showcase a rando at Marathon. Thanks to you and the entire community."
Yo, thanks, Saji. So Saji, if you missed the last run, was commentating Hotshot's run as well as commentating the JK relay. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, like being able to showcase off Rando in a marathon is really nice. We have done like tournaments and stuff for community exposure, but in a marathon setting where we can actually like sit down and follow along one seed directly and just talk about it is nice. There I went for an insanely difficult trick. I didn't quite get it, but that's okay. I can just go back there later if I find another bit of movement. But right now, I'm just kind of scouring the map, looking for something else. And I just found a Mega Energy, which I actually am going to use. Aiko, do you want to explain what a save drop is really quickly?
So before we saw Muffin doing that save anywhere trick to basically save, and it turns out if you do that in midair, when you reload, your save location will be basically the floor below where you saved, which is really useful if, say, between you and that floor is a laser that will kill you instantly, which is what Muffin's going to be avoiding here. He's going to save, reload, then on the reload, he's below the laser, and everything's fine.
Yeah, and so here I'm going to set up for a trick known as a grenade redirect. These are insanely difficult. Oh, wait, one of them died. 2, 3. And so if I throw a fourth grenade, it's going to explode it. And if I time this properly, I can actually deflect this projectile here to destroy this wall. But as you can see, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Almost.
Bit of like a little, kind of like a reverse Metroid situation where you're only allowed to have 3 bombs, but instead of throwing 3 and then waiting on a timer, it's you throw 3 and then your 4th one sets it off. But yeah, this trick is very difficult.
One more try before I just go get the block. Oh, I lagged. I'm not counting that one.
Yeah, okay. One more real try, like a legit try.
Yeah, there we go. Nice, got it.
Yeah, alright. Alright, first try. Very good, very good.
Ooh, okay. Charge dash efficiency is nice.
Yeah, charge dash efficiency is and attack rate are actually both in the set of basically extra pickups that we developed for the randomizer, because this game has 256 pickup locations and there are nowhere near enough like interesting and meaningful pickups. So we fill the rest of them with EXP, but we added a bunch of miscellaneous ones. One of those, charge dash efficiency, halves the cost of charge dash, which is a very powerful ability that Muffin will be hopefully showcasing later.
Yeah. And so right now, what I'm just going to be doing is I am going to be trying to lower my time as much as possible while going through this seed. And so in order to do this, the highest probability that you're going to find a skill that's going to allow you to access a new part of the map is by going for something known as pickup density. So certain areas have a lot more pickups that are quicker to check like altogether. And then beyond that pickup density idea, literally just trying to push for the core constraint, which is activating all of the skill locations. So basically I'm just coming back here, activating Sea Flame Tree, which is required, and then I'm going to be just checking the rest of the pickups and glades because they're very easy to get to for the most part. This one's a little tricky though. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if I let go of climb while I'm moving upwards, it actually ends up getting me a little bit of extra vertical height. But anyways, here is our first dungeon key, which is Water Vein. Do you want to explain what that does for us and why dungeon keys are important?
Yep, so Ori and the Blind Forest has 3 dungeons, one for each element that you're supposed to restore. The Water Vein opens up the first dungeon to the Ginso Tree. We actually don't need to visit all 3 dungeons in every seed, but in this all skill constraints category, we need to visit the first dungeon, which is the Ginso Tree, because inside the Ginso Tree is a skill tree, the Basque location, and oh my god, Muffin just found Charge Jump, which is the last skill you get in the normal game. Incredibly powerful, it gives you huge amounts of upward momentum, and also it deals 50 damage. Great skill, and it works incredibly well with other skills he has, including Climb. You can, while you're climbing, charge jump sideways off a wall, and there's a little something else Muffin may show off for us some point.
Oh yeah, wow, I have grenade jumps. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Okay, yeah, we'll show one off soon, maybe? I don't know, we'll see. But so there's a glitch known as a grenade jump, and normally if you just charge jump off a wall, it goes the same speed as you see here, where I'm just like jumping up and it's doing that. Yeah, I can show one off here. However, if I end up throwing a grenade and then jumping 1 frame later, it gets me a ton of speed, just like that. and it has to deal with like canceling out the deceleration property of it. But it is a one-frame trick. I'm just intimately familiar with them.
Yeah, Muffin is in fact famous for his grenade jumping.
Yeah.
Knows a lot of grenade jump specific setups for a lot of things. And is just very good at them, though. Very good at them, and getting them every time are different. This is an insanely difficult trick. And yeah, it looks real sweet though. You go very fast.
Yeah, it's actually nice because it does actually end up saving a bit of time. Like right here, I can just set one up here and shove myself into that cutscene. And so there I just ended up stacking 2 cutscenes together, and then using a save anywhere in order to save the game allows me to end up skipping both of those cutscenes, which is nice.
I think you can use a grenade jump to skip the platform segment at the end of Blackroot. Blackroot is this spooky dark place that has a skill tree, so we have to come here. But definitely can be a bit of a pain to navigate, especially if you're newer to the game or the randomizer. Muffin, of course, is new to neither of those things, so he is not going to have much of a problem. Blackroot has this orb mechanic where this orb will float to you, you carry it around, and make some doors disappear and other doors, or like some of these platforms appear, others disappear. And you're supposed to manipulate that and do this like very long and slow platforming, but because Muffin has charge jump and double jump, he's just going to go back up the way he came, activate some switches, and head into this room where he is going to do one more puzzle and then get another skill location.
I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've done this one, but I'll go for it for sure. Oh, no. So here I'm going to try and set up a grenade jump. So there's this laser here that's instant death, but if I do a grenade jump at the right spot and the right angle... Missing the timing on it. Let's try this. Yeah, there we go. I can actually hit myself off of this tiny little pillar here, and that knocks me up to the switch. And that does save, like, a pretty significant amount of time, because the riding up the platforms and carrying the orb is very, very slow.
Yep. And speaking of slow, it would also be slow to watch this cutscene, so of course Muffin is going to skip it.
Yeah, we're gonna
using these. Yep.
Yeah, so here I just entered the cutscene in order to be able to check a pickup while the darkness is lifting. And then if I do this correctly, it's going to just end up stacking 2 cutscenes together to allow me to do some semi-blind movement.
Yep. And though we didn't quite see it easily because it was dark, Muffin also over in that area to the right did some cool little skipping. Those crushers, you're actually supposed to require the skill dash to move horizontally. If he just walked through them normally, he would have been crushed instantly. But what you can do is you can bait them to fall and then jump up on top of them and get around them that way.
Yeah, exactly. So here I'm going to be actually working down to the next tree, which is going to be a light grenade tree. Normally, you need skill known as dash. Actually, I'm not going to do this anymore. Oh, wow. I have a lot of health. Oh, yeah, I found a mega health.
Yeah. Do, in fact, have a lot of health.
Yep. However, grenade jumps is going to build me enough speed to be able to work through some laser cycles. But I am first going to check this part over here for a little bit of safety for the marathon.
Yeah. There's usually not, usually you aren't really able to go through this area all the way through. Blackroot has 2 skill trees in it. It's got the dash skill tree, and the grenade is the second one we're going to go to. But usually you aren't able to continue straight down from the dash tree to the grenade tree. However, because Muffin has found this set of skills early, he is going to be able to do that. That is going to be a nice time save because he won't have to walk back here later.
Yeah, this is also getting me another map pedestal for a turn in for a map stone. Because I have currently turned in only 2 map stones, but... yeah, nice, okay. And because those are progressive, it's very, very nice to be able to turn them in whenever I get the chance. But there I just used climb, charge jump. Usually you need stomp to be able to break that floor, but because we have these 2 skills working in conjunction, it's not bad. But here is the important grenade jump. Otherwise, I can't make this laser cycle by normal means. And there we go, nice, first try. Okay.
Very nice. Not only do you have to time that one correctly and get the 1-frame trick if your angle there isn't exactly right, you have a bit of a problem where you just hit the floor or the ceiling, you lose a bunch of your speed. Now Muffin setting up for another grenade jump cutscene skip where he uses a grenade jump to get through a cutscene, and it actually does save some time because you when you skip these cutscenes, you end up with like a slow a zone where Ori's movement is very slow because it's supposed to be locked slow going into the cutscene and never gets cleared because of how it gets skipped. So if you grenade jump into it, you skip some of that slow zone and get more time.
Yeah, exactly. So right now we're getting pretty close to being like halfway through the seed. The start period is like very, very long, and it like requires a lot of fruition. But I'm still looking for that like 1 or 2 more skills to be able to progress through the end game portion. And so right now we've been mostly focusing on the middle and the right-hand side sections of the map, because just like chronologically in the game, these are the easiest to get through and the easiest to navigate. And then the left side ends up usually requiring a lot more skills or a lot more resources to be able to navigate. But nice, okay, I just found Valley TP Ico.
Ooh, okay, that's really sweet.
Yeah, do you want to sort of explain the significance of that?
Yeah, so one of the big barriers when we were talking about the left side and the right side is that there's this area that normally to traverse, to get to, you need either one of 2 skills. You either need Stomp, because there's a peg that can be stomped, or you need Bash, because an enemy, you can get an enemy to stomp that peg. But without one of those 2 skills, it's really hard to get to the left. You can't actually get to the left side unless you find a teleporter. Muffin just found the Valley TP, which will let him get past that room that I'm talking about, and even pull a lever later to backtrack if he wants to get towards that area. There is a bit of a problem in that in the room with the Valley teleporter, there's an incredibly angry bird waiting to kill you, but there's a neat trick that Muffin can do with grenade jumps that I'm sure he will showcase if he doesn't end up finding some of the other necessary skills to progress in that direction. For now, he's just going to fight this mini-boss who is not at all prepared for charge jump. 50 damage is enough to 2-shot it. That will give him access to this keystone pickup over here.
Yeah, there's a really sick setup to be able to one-cycle the boss. I just barely missed it because I jumped just a tiny bit too late. But you can like weave out and then weave back into the boss to kill him before he goes back into the ground. But yeah, so now I actually ended up skipping this tree in order to be able to do some other stuff. But we are coming back here for double jump tree, and then after that we will be heading to Stomp Tree.
Yep. And Stomp.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, between Stomp and the Ginso Tree, which he has access to because of the water vein, that will really wrap up all of the skill locations on the right side of the map.
I'm in Lumberjack mode now, I go. So now,
excellent, yeah.
So I just found Bash, and Bash is the most powerful skill in an entire randomizer. Literally, once you find Bash, you remove any sort of difficulty of the constraint of visiting each of the skill locations. Difficulty is kind of a bad word to explain it, but it does make them extremely accessible. But now that I also have Bash, I can actually chain these together with Grenade in order to move a little bit faster and get a little bit of height here and there. But this has been a very nice seed so far in terms of skills.
Yeah. So what Bash does mechanically is it lets you grab a object, a projectile, one of those like lanterns you see hanging most enemies, or a grenade, and then you go in one direction, the thing that you're bashing goes in another, and it also resets your air jumps, and it stops time while you're channeling the bash. So you want to be like aiming the bash for as little time as possible, but you can use it to get a lot of speed. The speed at which you leave a bash is much faster than your like actual movement speed in that direction. So see Muffin doing what is known as a bash glide, where he just bashes off something in a grenade and then just double jumps to continue moving much faster horizontally than he could normally.
Yeah, exactly. And also the interesting thing of Bash that I'm going to show after I try and go for that. Yep, nice grenade jump. Is going to actually be ending up using this spider projectile here to destroy this wall. I can just destroy that with charge jump anyway, but like Bash just allows you to utilize various resources and enemies that you find around the forest in order to be able to get through areas a little bit quicker, which is really insane. So it's not just that I can like move myself around, but I can also use resources that normally I can't to be able to get to areas I normally would not be able to.
Yep. You can reposition enemies, which can be very useful if you need them to break stuff for you. Less of a problem because Muffin has a bunch of really cool skills. You can even do a really cool trick that we discovered, I guess not really recently anymore, but it is new-ish in the tricks. What we just saw him do there was he did a charge jump up, and then he used grenade and bash to bash himself downward again, and then because of how charge jump works, he kept the charge jump damage hitbox and broke the thing below him, even though he's really not supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah, and so here what I'm doing is known as double bashing. So the first bash I do ends up deciding the direction that Ori gets sent and the direction the enemy gets sent. But in the standard game, if you end up releasing bash and repress it 1 frame after it activates, you can end up setting up this double bash state. And all this does is just ends up changing the direction that you end up sending Ori. The enemy still ends up going in the same direction. However, for the randomizer itself, to be fair with other input devices, such as controller users, we ended up modifying the randomizer in order to make double bashing consistently free for every single input method, regardless of what you end up deciding to use.
Yeah. Basically, as Muffin said, there's an easier way to do it on KBM than there is on controller. So for the randomizer, we have that mod. And now Muffin is going to head into the Ginso tree, this game's first and most vertical dungeon. It's basically just this giant tower that for some reason, the Ginso tree calls itself a tree, but it's also like twice as tall in terms of in-game units as the literal volcano mountain that we're going to be seeing a very small amount of later. So either it's not really a tree or the proportions in this game just don't make any sense. It's the second one, by the way. The proportions of this game just make no sense. Muffin showing off some very nice grenade jumps through these teleporters. They do not change your momentum at all, which means you get to go very fast through them.
Yeah. So nice thing about Ginso Tree too is this is what Water Vein got us access to, which is very important. However, I still need to end up finding one more thing, which is Sunstone. But as we know, Ginso Tree actually is a very pickup dense location once you get access to it. As long as you have the necessary verticality, like I do, you can get through it pretty quickly. Oops.
Yep, and we're going to see Muffin murder a mini-boss here very quickly.
Yep, there we go. He's dead.
Very, very dead, yeah. Again, charge jump, 50 damage, kind of a lot for these poor enemies.
Yeah. That being said, so what do we have left to do in the sea? Well, I still need Sunstone, or I need to find the Mount Horu teleporter to get access to the final escape. But right now, I have all of the skills that I actually need to be able to get access to every single tree. Also, right now, we just found Charge Flame, but it doesn't actually really do anything for us because we have Grenade.
Yeah. Charge Flame is the initial skill you're supposed to get to break those plants.
Yeah. Right now, though, I don't really have a good way of navigating through Sorrow Pass, which is a left side tree, in order to get through. So I'm actually just gonna go through and check some pickups up here, which are very fast to check.
Yeah, this area right above the bash tree is a very popular area to check, even though it's past the skill location that is what we need to come into Ginso for. Once you're already here, there's another 7 pickups that are very quick to check, and so it makes a lot of sense to just keep going through them, especially because it's just an area that, for whatever reason, seems to have a decent density of good pickups due to various logic quirks.
Yeah.
So far, looks like it's only experience.
Alright, I just found clean water, which is nice. It's not important at this point in the seed, but it is pretty nice, because it makes the final escape a little bit more relaxing.
Yep.
But
and
yeah,
there's that visual upgrade when you get it in the Ginso tree, because
yeah.
Ginso has different visuals for clean and dirty water.
Yeah, true. Okay, so we haven't really talked about this, but I am currently running in a logic mode known as clues. So basically, every single 3 skill locations I end up finding, I get a clue for a key location. But here is a really insane trick. There, I just used a grenade jump in order to stack 2 cutscenes together. The first cutscene is sort of this visual thing where if you just walk to the left, you end up seeing Kuro perched up here. However, Ori right now is intangible to things that would either hit or instantly kill Ori. So what I ended up doing was, oh, no. Okay, that's unfortunate. Okay, that's okay. I just have to do another couple of grenade jumps. And so right now I'm in a zombie Ori state because the second cutscene I ended up skipping was known as an instant kill plane, which, as you might imagine, would hurt a lot. So because I ended up going into the going into the first cutscene, I became intangible, and so the instant kill point didn't actually kill me. However, right now, I am in a weird zombie Ori state where I can't actually manually save the game myself. I either need to activate a skill location, like this feather here that I'm going to grab in order to save the game for me, or I need to save on a spirit well, which are those fast travel locations we've been seeing. But yeah, that was nice. So now we're going to be heading into Misty Woods because this is our 8th skill location. Misty has 1. And then the last one would be Sorrow. But I'm going to dip down here to see if I can find Sunstone really quickly.
Yep, because we know the Sunstone in Valley. It makes a lot of sense to check these like lower Valley locations before Muffin moves on. If he doesn't find it here, he'll have to come back.
Oh my god, okay. I just found Sorrow teleporter.
Oh, that's a huge find. Getting into Sorrow with Muffin's current skill set, or more importantly, navigating Sorrow with Muffin's current skill set is definitely a bother because he doesn't have Glide, and Sorrow as an area is just a bunch of spikes, and then you're supposed to avoid those with Glide, but he definitely can traverse it without that teleporter, but it's going to be much faster, and here we have a lot of grenade jumping through Misty, which looks cool as shit.
Yep. Oh shit, I didn't, uh-oh. I didn't quit and reload, so I can't save the game right now.
Oh,
Okay. So the big problem with this is that you end up using saving as a way to heal. And right now I can't do that. Luckily, I am close to a level up. I might actually just kill this bird intentionally to try and level up. Yeah, okay, there we go. Whew, okay.
Alright, easy.
And the reason why that was important is I have to damage boost there, unless I want to move the bird around with a bunch of bashes.
Oh yeah, speaking of potentially spooky things, you've got that S-bend coming up, that spiky thing.
Yeah, I do. I'll be okay with that.
Alright, excellent.
I hope. Otherwise, this is going to be very awkward.
I also hope so. It's just like, what, like a 2-minute dash? No problem.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh!
A bit of a spooky... Ooh. Alright, so now, just gotta be... Alright, you got this.
Okay, so here I have to... Okay, I failed. Alright, so I'm just gonna quit and reload so I can save the game now. That was completely a mistake on my part. I should have been more cognizant of that. That's okay, though. It just happens in a marathon setting. So now that I quit and reload, I'm no longer in the zombie Ori state, so I can actually save the game again. But this is okay, I just get to do more grenade jumps, which I enjoy doing. No problem.
I mean, really, this is just a cautionary tale. This was definitely planned so we could demonstrate why kill plane skits have dangers associated with them.
Alright, so there I just saved the game. Because this is one of the harder ones. That's okay, no problem. Whoops. Ooh, okay. So it's the tricky thing with grenade jumps, and why I tried to vet a seed to make sure I didn't end up finding grenade jumps, is because if you end up messing them up, you kind of work yourself into awkward scenarios that are really hard to get out of. I really want a skill like dash or something that gets me a lot of horizontal speed, but that's okay, that's okay. I've been nailing most of them, or most of the scary ones anyway.
Yeah, definitely some impressive consistency we're seeing. Grenade jumps are really hard to get effective, or to get consistent at, just because of how the inputs are set up, and when you fail them, it's just awkward to go for them again because you can get forced off the wall. And there's a bunch of other like tiny weird things about them too, which like if you're climbing on the wall but like in the wrong way, you can't actually grenade jump, even though it's actually really hard to tell visually whether or not you have hit the wall in that way. And there we go. Muffin is through that S-bend this time, and now he can make his way to the penultimate skill location.
Okay. So we also found something like really, really huge in Valley, which was Sorrow Teleporter. And because I don't have Glide right now, I can't glide in Sorrow, right? You need the skill to be able to do the thing. And so it ends up making traversing through there, like, really difficult. I do have grenade jumps, which does help in enough ability points to do more zombie-ori shenanigans, but it's much, much easier to just backtrack to the tree using this teleporter. So I'm very thankful I ended up finding that.
Yeah, definitely a huge find, and after Muffin finds this, all he really needs to do is find that Sunstone, which we know is in Valley, and I don't think there's a pickup in Valley that you can't get with your skill set, so it's just going to be a bit of a Sunstone hunt. And then it's off to Horu for the finals.
Yeah. What's the timer at right now, by the way?
We're at 34 minutes.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll definitely finish under estimate. You know, I'm just going to take a spider shot for safety. So here I'm going to use more double bashes to realign a shot. It's kind of hard to see because of the really bright background, but there we go. And I'll use that to break the wall instead of damage boosting off spikes. And then this last one, because I don't have Stomp, just needs to get really low on the wall there and shoot down. And here is our final skill location that we have to activate. So now, if you're familiar with randomizers, there's a term known as go mode, where you have everything you need to be able to just finish out the seed. All you have to do is fulfill the constraint and then start the end sequence. However, right now, I don't have the capability of getting to the end sequence itself. But I do have a general sense of where it could be. And so I know that there's a very specific list of pickups to check in order to be able to find Sunstone, which is that last key to be able to finish out the seed. So I am just going to go ahead and go do that. Let's go over here.
All right. There are definitely a limited number of locations where Muffin can find this, so it's all about just like routing, checking all of them, hitting the ones that are more or less out of the way first. So there's like 3 pickups up here that he can find the Sunstone at, and then there are several below, so we'll just have to see which one it's going to be at.
Yeah. Alright, wasn't there.
So up here.
So now the next place to check is actually in the entrance itself. There is a peg that I have not opened yet, but there is one really out of the way pickup to check that I'm just going to do really quickly, which is this guy right here. It's just a keystone, so I'm going to quit and reload in order to back warp back to my save location, and then I can just, let's do this, and then I can just end up going back out into the Valley main area, which is over here, which we've been to a bunch of times. So the next place to check is something known as Fax. The F stands for fudge, and the ACS, stands for ability cells.
Yep. Fudge ability cells.
Yeah, fudge definitely would not be another word. But here it is. Here's the Fax cell, and it is a vanilla ability cell. Fantastic.
Nice.
Alright, there it is. Okay, so we found Sunstone now, so we are now in go mode. And so now all I have to do, actually, to finish off the seed, is to be able to go, start, and finish the final escape. So we have about, like, maybe 2 or 3 minutes left in the seed before we're calling time.
Yep. And if you played Ori, the vanilla Ori, but not the randomizer or watch the speedrun, you might be thinking, well, wait, doesn't he have to do all of Mount Horu? The answer to that question is no, he really doesn't. There are a couple reasons why that's true. One is that in the randomizer, we've removed actually all of the lava in Mount Horu, mostly so we can force players to go there more often. That was really the entire motivation behind that. But the other thing is that there are actually not 1 but 2 ways in the base game unmodified to skip all of Mount Horu. Muffin's going to be showing off the faster of the 2. But yeah, it's just not a dungeon that ends up seeing a lot of play because it's very skippable and takes a long time to do. It's very dangerous.
Oops. Okay, so here if I bait this shot at a specific time, I can set up for a really tight grenade jump. I just barely missed it. That's okay. So grenade jumps also, like, probably the more difficult part of the grenade jump isn't the timing itself, because it's just barely separating two keys to be able to end up being able to set it off. The difficult part is actually setting up a good angle for the grenade jump itself. But there's a lot of them like all around the map, and if you do them, they save like a minimal amount of time. But yeah, here we are. Here is Mount Horu, which is the final dungeon casually and for the speedrun. But here what I'm going to do is just drop a save and then reload. Oh, didn't quite get it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to enter this door on the first frame that I have control of my character. If I do this, it actually ends up wrong warping. Yeah, just like that. Wrong warping Ori to the very end of the dungeon, like down below everything. And so, in a 60 FPS game, that is very difficult, but you just kind of get used to a sort of rhythm to be able to get it eventually.
And now all Muffin has to do is the final escape, where there's a volcano exploding and also a giant bird trying to murder you. You know, everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Gotta run away.
Alright.
Oh my god, the 1 EXP.
Yeah, so I just... Oh, I got it. Okay, cool. Oh shit, I missed it. Alright, so what I just did there was I actually just grenade bashed over a kill trigger that was spawned by Kuro herself. No. Okay, well maybe I get to show this off again. So if I miss this, what'll end up happening is you'll hear a loud drop sound. No, I got it again. Okay. That's a very difficult trick. Nice, and I got through. But here, what I'm going to try and do is, for a little bit of flair, set up a grenade jump just like that in order to be able to get over the elemental.
Yeah. This is actually really cool stuff Muffin is showcasing. There are much more conventional and less risky ways to go about this escape, but they are all so much less swag than what we're seeing right now.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so normally in the speedrun, getting through that section is actually very easy. You just have to stand on, like, a general slathering of pixels. But here, this grenade jump is one of the more precise ones. And it saves the most. Nice, I got it. So that grenade jump there ends up skipping major cutscene because it launches Ori into a trigger to allow Ori to walk forward. But now, time's going to be coming up. All I have to do is hold down to the right until Naru crosses a tree. Yep. But, yeah, anyways, so if you're interested in trying out the randomizer yourself, you really enjoyed the casual playthrough for Ori, we actually have a string of logic that does not require you to do any of these crazy strats. And in fact, there are various forms of logic based on how masochistic you are. But time's coming up, and time. GG. That being said, other shoutouts. The Ori and the Blind Forest community is like one of the most welcoming communities ever. If you are looking for a speed game to pick up, Ori is just an absolute excellent choice. And we have tons and tons of resources. Like, the amount of resources we have is insane. And there's like always somebody on ready to answer questions for anybody looking for help. But Aiko, thank you so much for joining me. Aiko is actually one of the developers for the randomizer itself. And it's just been an absolute pleasure playing this. This is definitely one of the things that I've spent thousands of hours actually speedrunning and competing in tournaments and such. So it was a real pleasure to be able to bring this to Hackathon today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Muffin.
Thank you for doing the run.